Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This session is on IBDP history and international relations. Right now, IBDP history comes in Group 3 of IB Diploma program, and mostly it covers in the curriculum. It covers the 20th century world history. So, 20th century world history means it mainly covers the from 1900s to roughly 2000, 2010, like that. Because as per IBDP history curriculum, no event to be discussed beyond 2010, 11. So it has to be ideally 10 years prior to the present year. So till 2010 or 2011, a student can study the curriculum. Now, coming to standard level course of diploma history, it has only 2 papers, and paper 1 has one of the most popular title that students study is Move to Global War. That includes 2 case studies. One of them is Japan from Asia, and the other one is from Europe. That includes Japan, that includes Germany and Italy. So coming to paper 2, as I said, it mainly deals with 20th century world history. So it is from it has to be seen from 2 angles. One is the first half of 20th century, and the other one is the second half of 20th century. The first half of 20th century, starting roughly from 1900s to 1945, the student basically studies both the global wars known as World War I and World War II, and also studies, along with both the global wars, the student studies both 2 civil wars, that is Chinese Civil War and the Spanish Civil War. Now, in both the global wars, the students basically study about the role of technology, and then they also study about the role of women. And paper 1, that the title suggests Move to Global War, it suggests actually it creates a background in a candidate that how these 3 nations, that is Japan, Germany and Italy, after the first global war and with the witnessing of the Great Depression by the world economy, how all the 3 powers had a transition, the political system had a transition from democracy to autocracy. So that is where the student consolidates their understanding about rise of Hitler, about rise of Mussolini, and then rise of General Tozo from Japan. And the democracy was taken a back seat actually. So this creates a background for the setting of the context for the World War II. Directly, paper 1 contributes for the understanding of first half of 20th century. Apart from that, both the civil wars, as I said, the Chinese Civil War and the Spanish Civil War, they both also contribute to the understanding of the whole curriculum. The Chinese Civil War was actually in 2 phases. The first phase was sometime in the 1927 to 37, and with the Japanese attack, there was abstain from the Civil War, and then again the Civil War resumed from 46 to 49, and in 49, October 1st, the People's Republic of China was founded. So the student gets an understanding of the Civil War, the role of communist versus the role of capitalist, the market economy, and how the Kuomintang party, which was mainly a capitalist bloc supported by the US, was finally defeated by the communists headed by the leadership of Mao, founded a communist China known as PRC, the People's Republic of China, in 1949, October 1st. Actually, it opens up the argument towards China's progress in economy parallelly with India's economic development. Like India got independent in 1947, 15th of August. So the point here is a student who has got a knowledge of, has an exposure to Chinese Civil War, automatically reflects the progress of China and the progress of India parallelly happening in the second half of 20th century. So it's a very fascinating study to make a compare contrast of both the nations which are neighboring to each other and the progress that happened. Like you'll find in the late 70s and the beginning of 80s, the Chinese actually opened up their economy. And almost after 10 years, the Indian economy was also open to the Western world. So the liberalization of Indian economy. So it becomes, my point is like, it becomes very interesting to have a study of both the neighboring countries, their parallel development. This is one of the offshoot of studying the Chinese Civil War and the 20th century world history. And coming to Spanish Civil War, that is from 1936 to 39, what happens is the student with a knowledge of Spanish Civil War actually consolidates his or her understanding about the starting of the Second World War, what we call as the Second Global War. So again, Spain got divided into two blocks, the communist bloc and known as the Republicans, and the nationalists headed by Franco, who were more of a capitalist and right-wing ideology. So they were obviously being supported by Hitler and Mussolini, because they both were again right-wing leaders. So this gives an understanding of how Hitler used Spanish Civil War as a dress rehearsal for fighting in Europe, making the whole Europe get affected by war. So this is the story of the first half of 20th century. This is the story of first half of 20th century. Now, another popular topic that a DP history student studies is in paper 2 is Cold War. Now, Cold War is that starts like towards the end of 1945, and it goes on till 1991, until the disintegration of USSR and the founding of the Commonwealth of Independent Nations, consisting of 14 nations, right? So so that whole 100 years in the IBDP history curriculum, we find the first half with 2 civil wars and 2 global wars, and we see the second half of the 20th century with the Cold War. Okay. Now coming to Cold War, the students get exposed to the policies of the capitalist bloc headed by US and the Western European nations, and versus the communist bloc, that is USSR. So USSR and the Eastern European nations like Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, Czech Republic, and so on, Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia, and all these Eastern European countries. Over there, the students basically study about the foreign policies of various US presidents, also the policies of the chairman and general secretary of USSR. So like this study about Harry Truman's policies, his nuclear Truman Doctrine. Then the study about Eisenhower, who followed Harry Truman. Then they study about John F. Kennedy and his resolving of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1963. Then finally he was assassinated in 63. in Dallas, Texas. And then this study, Kennedy was followed by his vice president, that was Lyndon Johnson. Then Lyndon Johnson was overthrown in the next election, 1968, by Richard Nixon, the Republican candidate. And then Richard Nixon finally, in his second term, where he got caught in the Watergate scandal and he was forced to resign. I mean, he attempted to use his executive power as the president of US, but then finally it was not easy and he had to resign from his post of presidency. And then followed by his vice president, that was Gerald Ford, and then Jimmy Carter, and then Ronald Reagan, and then his vice president who finally succeeded him, senior George Bush. So the students study about the policies of these American presidents and how their policies affected the world politics, the world economy, starting from Latin America to Africa to Asia to Europe. And certainly this gives them a leverage to understand world politics. It gives them an added advantage to comprehend and reflect on the present politics in the world, and also understanding the world economy. So this certainly helps them to take up courses in their undergraduate program, some areas like international relations, areas like liberal arts, and students finally land up in world press, journalism, in uh, taking news coverage, and then also taking up careers in the field of diplomacy, and so on and so on. Now, one of the most popular activity that we find in most of the schools across globe is the students' participation in MUNs, the Model United Nations. So the students get simulated environment where they actually deliberate on world issues, and that becomes more easy, that becomes more handy for a student who has a background of diploma history. So then it becomes like it actually facilitates a student's debating skills because of the knowledge base. Of course, the student gets more familiar with the protocols of international diplomacy in MUN, but then the knowledge base certainly adds to uh, the passion and the interest of the student. So this is all about the standard level course of IB diploma history. Even students opt for higher level in diploma history, and like any other higher level course, it has paper 3 as well. And paper 3, the student picks up any 3 important topics. The most popular ones are the interwar years. That is, again, that terminology is used for the time period between 1919 and 1939. So that time period, the students actually study as interwar years. That also connects more with move to global war, as I was telling in paper 1. Apart from that, the students study Western Europe and post Second World War and Western Europe, where the student actually studies the history of European Union, what we see today as one of the most significant economic and political bloc, which has a common currency, the euro. They also study about the third topic, like Soviet Union and Eastern Europe from 1924 to 2000. So the third topic actually consolidates their understanding of Cold War, certainly, the animosity that developed between US and USSR after the World War II. And also it consolidates the students' understanding of the Russian policies, the communist policies in USSR, and it makes them better understand about the bipolar world and its politics. Like on one hand US and on the other hand USSR. Now this bipolar world actually got shifted to unipolar world after 1991 when USSR got dismantled, it got disintegrated, and also Germany got unified in 1989. So this is all about the curriculum and the broad spectrum of IB diploma history and and its understanding, its exposure, how it facilitates a candidate to understand international relations and to reflect on it. So, as I said, a student who is exposed to or who has opted for IB diploma history down the line can go for career disciplines, as I was telling during my talk, like about world press, about journalism, about news coverage, about the career in diplomacy, and also in the field of business and economics. So this is all about IB diploma history and its relationship with international relations. So if any questions from participants, I find Akshay sir here and Subhasini ma'am as well. So if you would like to make any reflection or any question, would you, if you want to have, most welcome.
Sir, I would like to ask, like after the diploma course, like what is the next step? How they are gonna, in which level they are gonna? Can you please guide?
Yes, ma'am. See, what happens is diploma, like any other 12th board examination, it's a higher secondary course. After 10th, the student does 2 years of higher secondary course known as +2 in many places, known as junior college or higher secondary education. In IB, it is called as IB diploma. Now, what happens is near to 40% of diploma students from India go abroad for their undergraduate program, and the remaining do study within India and pursue their undergraduate program. So what happens is a student who has opted for group 3 subject like history, now for their undergraduate program, they always have a choice of getting into, say, business management. They have the choice of getting into liberal arts, right? Liberal arts again is a very it's a very popular undergraduate program in countries like US. Then of course it is gaining its popularity in India as well. So students do go for such courses. Even like if you see in Europe, like if you go to UK, for example, you'll find like one of the most immediate example that comes to my mind, like London School of Economics has got a BSc in international relations. So those students down the line, when they pass out their undergraduate program, they down the line get into big news media houses, news channels, and so on and so on. So definitely taking up this course in IB diploma does help them to do an undergraduate program in such disciplines. And then down the line, it does help them in picking up career of their choice. And another very fascinating career that opens up with IB diploma history is the student can join the world of diplomacy. So like foreign services, then they join various embassies and represent country. So this all is facilitated with the help of this subject. And also the students who join for business programs like business and law is one of the very popular programs. The students join for business and taxation and international business, trade. So for them, like having the knowledge of world history of the last century does help. Certainly, it helps them. So these are some of the advantages of doing IB diploma history. And students do opt for this course. There are students who are pretty clear from the very beginning. I mean, when they come for the counseling session after grade 10, there are some students which is very evident in them their interest in doing and taking up this course. So this is what all like the future avenues that are possible after doing this subject in your IB diploma. It's like that. Any other question? Otherwise, we will wind up. Fine. So I think thank you everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. And thank you again.
Thank you, Sridu sir. It was really very informative, and then yeah, how to approach and what are the topics that we are covering for the diploma course. It was a clear information. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And the recording was.
Yes, that.
I've closed the video.